Aye, so we had the experience with the Prius, and I thought I should share my 2 cents on the topic. Of course, I'm one person that likes to save fuel, mbeda wala, and but regardless of the situations that I work in or the situations that I live in, oba mbeda wala oba mbeda kumpi, if you watched the Prius videos, part of both the two parts, because this is part three. If you watched both parts, you'd already make the deductions that I'm about to tell you now. Is a hybrid worth investing in or not? This is something that I'm going to try and talk about today. First of all, we all know the advantages that come with you owning a hybrid. The very first and most important hybrid, because we are going to have children, is that you are protecting the planet, because the hybrid emits less fumes for the environment, so it's very environmentally friendly. So if you're going to buy a hybrid, that could be one of the reasons you buy the hybrid, because and listen to me here, because some of the other reasons might actually not make a lot of sense if you don't have this reason in there among the reasons that you are giving us to why you're buying the hybrid. But then probably you have to understand that most people that buy the hybrids want to save fuel. Sicho? You want to save fuel. So I can tell you that there are mostly two advantages, only two advantages of the Prius hybrid. You save fuel, you save the environment. Uchidaba. But and I've been tempted to buy a hybrid so many times. I've gone to the bond to inspect a car for someone, for the guys that watch the broadcast, and I almost bought a Prius hybrid. Of course, I cannot afford it. If this person had bought my car, I would have topped up and bought the hybrid. But I didn't buy a hybrid. But what when we go to reality check, try to figure out chichi dala chetwetaga okubanga tukonsiderenga as buy a hybrid. What will be some of the downsides of us owning a hybrid? Because first of all, the initial cost. Now I'm going to use the case of a Fielder, because the Fielder is one popular car, right? So I'm going to use the case of a Fielder. A normal Fielder will cost you about 35 million shillings. A normal Fielder. Of course, now they're going up. But a Fielder hybrid will probably be 45 and above. Now, and when I say 45, you're going to buy that from a very well-priced place, 45 million. Okay? A hybrid. But they go all the way to 50 million. Initial cost is too much for a hybrid, because this is the difference of 10 million. 10 million. Let me just give you a scenario of how I do. Now, if you use like 30,000 shillings daily in fuel, in terms of fuel, a distance that where you use 30,000 shillings, if you're driving a 1.5 liter vehicle, is a distance of about 85 to 90 kilometers. Yeah. So if you drive about 90 kilometers a day or 100 kilometers, you use 30,000 shillings every day in fuel. That's only if you're driving a 1.5 liter vehicle, the Sientas, the Corollas, and all that. 30,000. A hybrid will instead take 10,000. Yeah. Which is the advantage. You're saving 20k, right? You're saving 20k. But if you save 20k a day times 10, that would be 200,000 times 20, that will be 400, and then yes, 200, 400, 600,000. 600,000 per month times 10 months, which will make you 6 million, which will make 7 million and 200,000 shillings, right? 7.2 in savings annually if you use about 30,000 shillings. Now that's very worth it, right? That's a lot of saving. When I looked at it, I said, oh my God, I should buy myself a Prius. But yesterday I was doing pre-purchase inspection. Now, by yesterday, that might not mean yesterday for you if you're watching the broadcast, this video now. Yesterday might be last week for me. So yesterday we were in a bond and looking at cars, and then there was someone that had a Prius. It was a UBP. UBP we all know. By the time I'm speaking, today is the 23rd of July. Now as we speak, UBP is just a couple of months old. Naweza mwaka now UBP. This person had a Prius hybrid on UBP and the battery was dead. So now you can imagine. less than a year on the road, and the battery is broken. Now, I asked him how much is the battery. He said he is buying the battery 2.5. There is another person who is also a bond owner that talked to me and he said the battery will cost you 6.5. So now we are going to say this will be the range between 2.5 to 6.5. Now, does this make the Prius hybrid worth investing? You save 7.2, and there is a possibility that you'll spend 6.5 before the end of 12 months? Hell no. Because if you save 7.2 and then spend 6.5 in terms of you buying a battery, or let's say you buy 2.5, this will be a used battery, by the way. This will be a new battery, 6.5, 7.5, and all that. So you're going to spend this amount, and then a battery is like an engine. You can go to buy an engine from from a shop, and they will tell you, Babuza, how long will this new engine I'm putting in my car work? Because we are normally buying used ones. How long will it work? And then probably they will tell you it will work for you for about a year. Now, if you buy a battery and you're not sure that it will work for you for more than a year, you're not sure because you're not. And I'm going to tell you why. You're not sure that it will work for you for more than a year. Now, of course, I've seen people that say I've driven my Prius since 2016 and I have no problem, and that's no problem. But the initial investment, so you have spent 10 million more, only to spend 6.5 million more after saving 7.2 million shillings. Have you seen? Hey, I'm starting my own theory. You know, when you do things like this, then you start being a professor. Initial investment, saving supposed to be here if we are actually starting a theory. But anyway, the initial investment is 10 million or even more, yeah? And then you save about 7.2 per year, and then you spend 6.5, yeah? Now, what are some of the challenges apart from the initial investment? Battery replacement, I've said it, really expensive. Not just Uganda. It's not just Uganda complaining. Guys in the US, in the UK, in Canada are all complaining about battery replacement. And yet for them, they buy zero mileage cars. Now, for us, Katahavuge Morocco is 10 years old. How are you guaranteed that the battery won't die if someone that bought a car when it was still new drives it and as soon as the warranty is done, the battery starts failing? Now, what happens is the battery dies. If the battery dies, the car will start working on the engine alone. Okay? Sometimes it will stall, but if it doesn't stall, it will be working on the engine alone. Now, when it works on the engine alone, you know what happens? It had kukunywa mafuta because taina help. The hybrid car is meant to work battery, motor, and the engine together, and the wheels. Because remember, twaga mempira, jijira, this is the motor. This is the motor. And then we have the battery. This is the hybrid battery. The hybrid battery has so many things, not like the normal battery. And then we have the engine. The engine is supposed to look ugly. This is the engine. So the engine through the motor charges the battery. The battery through the motor powers the wheels. That's how it is planned. Of course, sometimes the engine also powers the wheels, but then the wheels also through the motor charge the battery. That's how the hybrid system works. Now, if the battery dies, we have a very, very important component off of the system. Chitegeza, we're going to be overworking the engine. If we overwork the engine, it leads to a lot of fuel consumption. So yes, you would say battery we engine, but then you might be consuming like a Mark X. So overall, when we conclude, is the Prius hybrid or any other hybrid worth the investment? Let's just think about a person that is trying to save fuel, because majority of the time, a person that is trying to save fuel is the person that drives the cars that are actually fuel saving. These are people that drive cars like the Vitz, the Sienta, the Ractis, Paso, Fielder. But let's stick to the guys that really want to save money, the guys that are doing Uber. Prius hybrid will cost you about 10 to 20 million extra. Because if you're driving a Vitz that you bought at 25 million shillings, buying a hybrid would probably cost you 45 million shillings and above. Now, if it costs you 45 million shillings and above, that's an extra 20 million. Do you know what you could do with that extra 20 million? a lot. You drive it, and let's say a distance that I drive 90 kilometers, I would use 10,000 shillings a day. Means I save 20,000. That translates into about 7.2 million shillings. Yeah? But should that battery die within a space of 1 year, you saved 7.2 and you're using 6.5. That's if you're lucky. Majority of the people that I've had spent about 7 million shillings, including labor, to put the battery back in the car. Yeah? So it's this circle, this is not a, it is this triangle. It is this triangle that you have to think about. Buying price, savings, repair costs. Now, of course, the motor rarely dies. All the other parts of the hybrid rarely die, but the batteries die much more often than any other parts. Now, you factor in the battery cost because this is the only thing we are talking about. But like I said, it's possible that the suspension system is very expensive to repair and maintain. But think about this. A border crashes into your tail light. Very expensive to repair. Think about a situation where someone crashes into your boot. Very expensive to buy and replace. And nobody, or very few people will be able to give you that kind of money to replace it. The front lights, if they are damaged. And of course, you have to think about the road conditions. If you live like where I live, the Prius might not be very friendly. So yes, I love saving fuel. I love the extra 20,000. The 20,000 that I save every day would be something. Now, this is another thing for you to consider. If you're the kind of person that drives highway, the Prius will not give you the savings you want. The savings will mostly come if you're a town service person. Obeera nnyo mu jjaamu w'e Wandegeya, obeera nnyo mu jjaamu w'e Kololo, obeera nnyo mu jjaamu w'e Bwayise, obeera nnyo mu jjaamu w'e Nateete, obeera nnyo mu jjaamu w'e Bulenga. The Prius is for you. Okitegeera, the guys that live around Tinda, the guys that live in Kawempe, the guys that live in Bugolobi, Portobello, wali jjaamu eyo, the guys that live in Machindye, okitegeera. Now, for a person, yesterday I did inspection for someone that works in Mukono, lives in Namugongo. Now, if you work in Mukono and live in Namugongo, you'll be using 5K every day to and from work. That's exciting until we think about this. Kari, the conclusion is yours. The conclusion is yours. The conclusion is yours. Do you want to buy the hybrid or not? And I think this is something that goes back to the electric cars. An electric car normally costs about 100 million shillings. Now, the people that can manage to buy a car of 100 million shillings don't really want to save money on fuel. Not so. So, I'll leave the decision on what car is better for you, whether the hybrid is worth it or not, whether you could have actually be thinking about the electric version. That will be a decision that you have to think about, you as the person that's going to actually own this car. Until next time, ciao.
But you never ever take what I say. I need you. But you do what you do ever again. You broke my wall, it goes around, around and round. I love you so, I need you so, I never leave you so. Girl, I tell you this every day, every night, that I really feel you, I can't deny. Give us a chance, you and I, you and I, you and I. Give us a chance, you and I, you and I, you and I.